A Japanese man, dressed in bright pajamas, wakes up in a white, empty room with no doors, no windows, and no clear ceiling. When he moves closer to one of the walls to see better, he notices something strange sticking out of it, a lump shaped like a male part. After touching it a few times, he pushes the tip, which makes hundreds of laughing baby angels come out of the floor and walls. They stay only for a few seconds before returning the way they came. But one thing remains. Now all their parts are sticking out of the wall and floor. This is the stage called learning. As he smells the finger that touched the oddly shaped button, the man suddenly shouts in fear, then starts crying, asking for help from anyone nearby. But no one comes. He pauses, takes a breath, and then begins pressing the different buttons, just to see what happens. Each time he does, a new random item drops into the room, from a tiny toothbrush to a large vase crashing down. Pressing the same button again, it gives him the same item, and that's how, just by testing one button, he ends up with a big, messy pile of chopsticks. His fun is short-lived though. When he presses the button near the chopstick one, a small cart comes out of the wall and hits him on the legs. The next button he presses, after shouting out in pain, changes into a butt, which blows gas on his face. Hours later, the man has collected a huge number of random objects in the room. When he throws the ball at the wall, it presses a button that gives him sushi. This makes him happy since he's feeling hungry. But then he sees that he's missing soy sauce. He asks his captors for it, but as always, he gets no reply. So he keeps pressing one of the buttons until he has plenty of sushi before him, but still no sauce. Giving up, the man starts to eat the sushi, which he finds really tasty. Once he finishes the last piece, he presses the button for more, only to get angry when a bottle of soy sauce finally appears. After pushing the bottle away in anger, he presses another button and gets a pair of classic 3D glasses. When he puts them on, he manages to spot a small angel pointing at his member, and the man feels happy because he thinks he may have found the answer. However, after pressing that certain button, all he sees is a timer and a giant butt dropping from above to blow gas right onto him. A few hours later, he's read 5 chapters of a comic that he thinks are very fun, but when he presses a button to get the 6th, he gets the 7th instead. Upset, he starts pressing other buttons, which give him 8 and 9, but still not 6. The last button he presses, though, has a big surprise for him. It opens a part of the wall that hides a door behind it. The man enjoys this finding, but in his rush, he loses count of which button is the one that opens the way out. He tries one at random, and suddenly sees an African tribesman run from wall to wall. The next one drops water onto his head. The third one turns out to be the one he needs. And as soon as the wall opens, he runs to it, only to watch it close on his face. His second attempt ends the same way, and it's then he learns that the door stays open as long as the member tip is down. So, he starts testing different ways to keep it. First, he tries a runner stance, pressing it down with his foot. Next, he strikes it with a fly swatter from as far as he can, hoping the space will help him with his running speed. None of these work, and neither does pulling it with a jump rope or hitting it with the air blown by a fan. His next plan is to get on the cart and shove it after pressing the button. But after many tries, he comes to admit he simply can't control it. What he really needs is to find a way to keep the button tip pressed down. He puts the large vase right on top of it, but the button still pops right back up again. So, the man makes the decision that he needs to fill the vase to make it heavier. First, he presses the water button, but it's useless. No matter how much he tries to move the water, it only pours on him, and nowhere else. His next idea is to fill the vase with sushi, but it gets so heavy he can't even lift it up. The mouth of the vase is too narrow for his hand to fit inside, so the man has no choice but to use chopsticks and take out the sushi piece by piece. A little later, once he has removed enough, he manages to just lift the vase. So, he does that and carries it closer to the buttons. When he reaches there, he realizes he must put the vase down on the floor because he has forgotten which button it was again. And when he presses one, the African tribesman appears and accidentally hits the base, making it crack and break apart. This pushes the man to his limit. As he panics and shouts nonstop, he finally finds the correct button and starts piling sushi on top of it. This, of course, fails as well. And the little member rises again, right between the rice. Then the man tries covering the button with tape, then tape plus a steel plate, but nothing helps. After taking some painkillers to ease the pain caused by the door every time it hits his back, and a short nap too, the man wants to brush his teeth. So he presses a button to get water. It turns out to be the wrong button though. This one makes a rope fall from the ceiling. This quickly lifts his mood, because it gives him a new idea for a plan. He opens the door, then swings on the rope across the room, hoping to make it before the door shuts. Sadly, when he tries to open the door behind the fake wall, he finds out it's locked. He rushes back to the room just in time before the door shuts, though it still hits him on the way out. In anger, he kicks the wall, pressing one of the buttons, and making a key float in the middle of the room. Just like the door, though, it disappears when the button pops up again, so the man must find a way to keep both the key in the room and the door open. First, however, he needs to find the button again, because he got distracted and lost it. By looking at where his foot might have landed when he kicked the wall, he chooses a button, only to see a dog come out of the wall and bark at him. The same thing happens with the next button, but luckily, the third try works. While keeping his eyes and pointing his hand at the button, the man walks back and grabs a piece of sushi fish. He takes it to the wall to mark the right button with. When he presses it, however, the dog comes out again. This time, he finds the button faster and continues with his plan. He makes the rope appear and swings on it to reach other buttons, but it still isn't enough. As he drops to the floor, he notices a plunger he had received from one of the many buttons, and he gets an idea to solve his small problem. He can use the plunger to touch the wall and push himself further. After one failed try, the plan goes well. The mix of swinging on the rope and pushing with the plunger lets him press the button key, grab the key, press the door button, and reach the door before it shuts. He wastes no time and puts the key in the lock, turning it fast. But when he tries to open the door, he finds a bad surprise. It also has another lock on the top that needs 3 numbers to open it. The man dashes out, getting hit by the door as it shuts. In anger, he throws the plunger at the other wall, pressing the button that brings out the African tribesman. As he sees him walk past, he notices something. There are 3 numbers painted on his forehead, which must be the code he needs. Since the time behind the door is short, the man repeats the whole swinging on the rope and jumping trick 3 times, once for each number to be entered. The third time, he stays there and pulls the door open. It's a little stuck, and he must push very hard to move it. When he finally gets it open, the wall piece behind him shuts, trapping him inside and leaving no space to finish opening the door. Heartbroken, the man sits on the ground and cries, recalling all the joy he had with the items he had gotten from the buttons. He had been trapped there too, but at least he had space to move and fun to enjoy. And now, he sees he never valued what he had while it lasted. Suddenly, he feels a light breeze on his face, blowing from the left wall. As soon as he touches it, he notices a crack that shows it's fake. He acts quickly and pushes the panel open before running away, soon reaching a strange hallway, floating in a dark, empty space. It feels like he runs forever toward an exit, and when he finally reaches another room, his hair is longer, and the colors of his pajama are faded. This room is also bare, and the door he enters closes right after. But instead of baby angels, here stand adult ones, who also vanish into the wall, leaving only their members sticking out as buttons. This is the stage known as practice. Meanwhile, in a town in Mexico, young Antonio's family feels worried because his father, a wrestler called Escargot Man, is acting more quiet than normal. His wife thinks it may be since his next rival is much younger than him. But the grandfather says what matters is skill, not age. Escargot Man is picked up by his daughter, Sister Karen, in her truck. She drives him to the wrestling hall so he can start preparing early, which means changing clothes and praying to the Virgin. At school, Antonio gets mocked by his classmates for betting on Escargot Man, calling him weak and a loser. As the match time gets closer, Sister Karen drives her van again and collects Antonio and their grandfather to take them to see Escargot Man fight. Karen doesn't stay though. And Antonio and his grandfather grab some of the last seats for themselves. Right before the show begins, the first team that steps into the ring are the Northern Tough Ones, made up of Super Demon and Tequila Joe. Then Escargot Man and his partner Silver Eagle walk in under the team name Kiss Me A Lot. Silver Eagle starts fighting first for his team, with a strong beginning. But he is soon outmatched when the Northern Tough Ones attack him together, instead of one-on-one. They keep signaling at Escargot Man, asking him to join the match. But he won't do it, not until Silver Eagle tricks Super Demon and Tequila Joe into hitting each other, letting him escape. Escargot Man is soon beaten down too, but just when his rival is about to smash him with a chair, the man in the strange room presses a member button and makes Escargot Man magically stretch his neck, knocking out both rivals with a single strike of his head. In the room, nothing happens, which draws the man's focus. So he keeps pressing the same button, making Escargot Man knock out Silver Eagle, the referee, Antonio, and even the bell. When nothing changes, the man begins testing other buttons. One makes a heavy metal singer breathe fire above his fans during a show in Los Angeles. Another makes a Russian magician ruin his act when he tries to make his helper vanish. And a third makes a man in China bark at his own dogs. The man is nearly ready to quit when he notices light shining from above. He sees that, unlike the last room, here there is no ceiling. and angels fly far away in the air. He chooses to try something fully new this time. Instead of pressing the member buttons, he will climb the wall using them. It works, and each time he grabs a button with his hands or steps on them with his feet, something amazing happens on Earth, from flowers blooming to an elephant dying. The higher he climbs, the greater the effects become. Not just nature anymore, but humanity too. From small things like a toaster to huge ones like landing on the moon. By the time he reaches the top, both his hair and beard have grown long, and he no longer needs to cling to the wall. Now he can float as well, just like the angels. And using all the skill he gained from the earlier rooms, he accepts his role as God and starts choosing humanity's greatest events on purpose instead of pushing buttons at random. By the time he finishes, feathers surround him instead of walls, and he steps into a bright portal, one that takes him to the last room. This one shows the continents on its walls, and a massive member button that the man is ready to press. This is the stage called Future.